Welcome to the Boardroom TV podcast, and I'm joined today by Albert Oosthuysen, who's the founder of Net99, which is a tech company, internet company, especially looking into the townships and investing into the townships in terms of fiber. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yes, your story starts not in a corporate boardroom, but in the townships. Take us back to the moment you and Nicholas looked at the digital divide and said we can build a business to fix the problems in the townships in terms of infrastructure. What did you see that others didn't see?
And so we started the journey. Well, so the journey starts before Net99. It started with a previous company we started because we couldn't initially get funding for building fiber into townships. What we saw was a massive discrepancy between the availability of data in the townships and the availability of data in like the leafy suburbs. So in the townships, generally the consumer only had access to mobile data, which is extremely expensive. It's almost predatory, in nature. So we figured, you can make a business out of this. You can do good to the community. So this was back in 2016. We wanted to go start building fiber into townships. We just couldn't find any funding for it. No one would back us. So we initially we asked, okay, well, what can we build? What are you willing to fund? And they said, well, the leafy suburbs isn't complete. There's still a big market there. So we started building into the leafy suburbs. We first built another business called Evotel. We built out as much as we could. And when the areas were finished and depleted, we said to the funders, okay, can we try this township thing again? And then before that, Nicholas Diepe had joined, and I felt that we also had the skills to go operate into townships.
Yeah.
And then luckily the funders all agreed that it was time to go.
Yeah. Were you always in this tech space? Tell us a bit more about your background in business, how you started out.
Yeah, man. So I started in fiber. I started in fiber as not a technician, but I was looking for a business to invest into. I'd saved money. I'd work as a medical rep. I'd saved money. So I was looking for a business to invest into, to buy, things like that. And there was a business called STDR, and they were doing splicing for Neotel, which is now Liquid Telecoms.
Yeah.
And these guys were doing all of their splicing. So, the joining of the cable, 99% of the splicing going on at Liquid Telecom was being done by this guy. And he wanted to expand. He wanted to increase his teams and things like that. So I looked at the business. It wasn't very profitable. So I invested all my money that I had. I invested in this business. And we grew from 1 team to 12 teams in maybe a year. And we did all of Neotel, now Liquid Telecom splicing. And then we realized that it's risky. It's risky to only work for other people. You also need to own your own network and charge the consumer so that if your customer cuts you off, your business doesn't die.
Yeah.
So then we started looking to build our own network. And in STDR, we actually started building our own network, which was Evotel, but we were very different. We built our own network. We were our own ISP. We did our own billing. We did our own support. I used to do support calls until 10 o'clock every night for the first few years. And that's sort of where it started. So first we started as like a contractor, built our own network. We sort of operated our own network. And then we looked to expand.
Yeah.
And we got funders, things got a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
And we could.
And with building Net99 meant laying fiber in places many considered unviable. What was the single biggest obstacle in those early days, and how did you crack the code on making it affordable and sustainable?
Yeah, so everyone else was looking to build fiber into townships on the previous costing. So they were using the same systems, they were using the same contractors, the same supplies, the same design to go into townships, which meant it was expensive. It was expensive per home passed. So you could only pass so many homes. Going into the townships, the homes are generally, the plots are generally smaller, so the density is higher. So what we looked at doing was we looked to cut cost of all the buildings. So the contractors, we looked at the price we paid to contractors. So we said to them, okay, smaller areas, less cable, we'll pay less. We looked at our systems. So we looked at new systems so that we can be more cost effective. And then we also became our own ISP again. So Net99, when we ran Evotel, we eventually became open access. So all the ISPs could join and start offering the services. But they need to make a margin also. So if we sell them a line, they need to add their price, and then that goes to the consumer. We said, well, there's no space for this. There's too much money being made in the middle. We need to cut that out also to bring the cost down. So we looked at everything in our experience of Evotel. We looked at every inefficiency that we had, and we made it efficient so that we can get to the consumer for the lowest possible price. And we still want to bring that price down. So it's important for us to do that. So as we reduce cost and we become more efficient, we try and bring the cost to the consumer down.
Yeah, I mean, like when you look at it, it looks like your vision. I mean, because many entrepreneurs traditionally look at your upmarket spaces. You're more where you are more guaranteed, and you have a track record, and you can trace business being done in those particular areas, rather than you starting out in townships. There's a lot of unknown. How did your own background shape your determination to connect the unconnected?
So the determination is I think is an inherent thing. You're either a determined person or you're not a determined. I'm not sure. That's the thing that you learn. I'm not sure. I sold books in America door to door as a student. So I used to fly to America. I worked for 3 months. I sold books door to door. And then I'd have enough money to pay for my ticket and have some money saved. And I did that 3 years in a row. And that's part of how I started saving money that I could eventually buy a business. But that's a tough thing. Like that's you go see you knock on a lot of doors every day. You face a lot of rejection every day.
Yeah.
A lot of people that shout at you, angry with you every single day. So I look for things that are tough, and I try to not take the easy path.
You tell that to your mentors. Look for the.
What's that?
I'm saying, do you tell that to your mentor, like to people that you mentor, like look for the tough?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like not just that. I mean, to my kids, to sort of everyone around me is not. Don't take the easy path out. The easy path is the easy path because it's what everyone takes. It's not the interesting path. It's not the path of growth. So I try to look for the things that are difficult, that creates pain, and pain is growth. And through that, you then, you improve yourself and you grow. It's not a lesson that everyone wants to learn. Yeah. So that's one thing. I don't know if it's inherent or learned behavior.
Yeah, it's not a lesson everyone wants to learn. Definitely, no. Me also as an entrepreneur, sometimes it looks sexy on paper to say solving the tough problems, but actually doing it on the ground, man, it takes a lot of grit and determination. So in late 2024, Net99 along with Evotel and Linklayer were acquired to form Fibre Holdco. Walk us through that decision. Was it a we need a capital to grow moment, or we need to consolidate the industry to truly win moment?
Yeah, so what we were looking to do is this industry, this fiber industry, is very, very capital hungry. It's an infrastructure game. And infrastructure, whether it's electrical infrastructure, telecommunications, water infrastructure, all of it to build is extremely expensive and capital hungry. So we're constantly fundraising. It doesn't stop. You don't, raise funds and then you're there and then you can carry on. It's you constantly building and redeploying capital that makes money over time. So we constantly have to raise funds. So our internal investor group, the shareholders that had funded the initial start, we all the shareholders chipped in. We put money in and we started Kagiso as our first area. We built, I can't remember exactly how many homes, but it was a big risk. That we took a lot of money that was put in to test the idea and the area. And basically we'd asked everyone again for money. Everyone put a little bit more money in, but eventually it got to a point where they were tapped out. We were taking debt also, but we needed more equity into the business. And that's when we started looking externally. And then, we got in touch with, we were actually going to run a process to get a few people involved. And before we ran the process, Ed from Infinite is like, no, wait. Before you go for process, let me have a look first. So we said, no, we're going to run a process. He says, no, I don't want to go through a process. I'm interested. Let me just, let me have a look. So he was very aggressive in his approach. And we chatted to him. We, initially you sort of feel each other out a bit. Who is this guy? And that was a trying time. You're not sure, if it's the right partner. Choosing the right partner is always very hard. You sort of never know until you're in it, So there was this whole thing of checking each other out. And then when they officially joined, it was just amazing, just magical people, They very aligned in our thinking, about connecting people, economic empowerment in the areas. We want to make sure that we put a lot of money back into the communities, that we're empowering a few contractors, that when we are done, the contractors is self-sustaining. They can build in other areas. That's all things that are important to us. We want to leave a sort of a legacy, or we sort of wanted to lift the tide a little bit, in the immediate area where we operate, because it's good for us. It's good for our business also to ensure that where we operate, where we sell services, that we've grown the economy a little bit, even if it's just tiny, And they were very aligned to that thinking. So that was amazing. So when they joined in end of 2024, it was an amazing thing. And they brought big funders with them, which opened the capital pool for us. But that was the thinking. It was the fundraising. It's the constant fundraising. We're fundraising again. It's just a constant thing that happens to grow.
Is that one of the boxes you tick when looking for partners? People who are more thinking long-term, legacy-driven, who are really in it for the long haul, and also in terms of giving back?
I think absolutely, it comes back to values. So the people that you partner with have to align to values. You guys all have to align to the same values. If you believe that you have to give back, but your partner believes you have to take advantage of absolutely everyone and everything around you, you guys won't work well together, right? You'll clash constantly because you'll be like, but we have to make sure that's a little bit more sustainable here. And they'll go like, well, once we've made our money and we've left, we don't care, type of thing. So it's important that the values align. Otherwise, there'll be a constant conflict. And that goes for anything in like any relationship in life. Your wife, your friends, your business partners, everything.
And now you're the CEO of the combined entity. That's a leap from co-founder, CEO of your own startup. What's been the most significant mental shift going from leading your baby, so to speak, to integrating 3 companies into a single powerful vehicle?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, there's the bigger something that comes, the less direct impact you have on day-to-day operations. So you're not the one installing, you're not the one doing customer calls, customer care, you're not the one doing the making day-to-day interactions on advertising and things like that. So you become less and less involved in a day-to-day thing, and that's a scary thing for someone that started doing everything. So I was there on the ground building the first network. I was there doing the sales. We went door to door and we sold fiber door to door. We were there doing support in the evenings until 10 o'clock. I was on my computer and on the phone until 10 o'clock every night for the first while. And then as you grow, you obviously can't do that because there's too many people to go do it to. You need to then bring in help. So then you start bringing in help. And then you have too many people to manage. So then you start bringing in help to help you manage. So your managers, and all of this means you just get further and further and further and further and further away from the direct day-to-day things. And that's scary. Like it's hard to let go. It's hard to entrust someone. And again, it's finding the right people that are value aligned to you to help you with those things.
Yeah, letting go. That's difficult. And like
letting go is the hardest thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Fibre Holdco isn't just a holding company. It's described as a platform for digital inclusion. What does that mean in practical terms for a township resident in 2025?
Yeah. So what we're trying to do with it is we're trying to grow the local economy in a sense where we empower local. So we try not to bring an external contractor to do all the work in an area. So we try to use local. First and foremost, that's the first thing. So there's the sort of direct economic impact by investing money into the community. Then the second thing is we try to bring services in. So it's a platform for us to bring additional things into the network that's beneficial to the end user. So like educational things, we look to like partner with educational partners. We had a great educational partner and they unfortunately closed after COVID. There was this massive spike in educational businesses, online businesses in COVID. And then 2-3 years after that, they started just closing doors. So we're actually looking for a new educational partner. But things like that's important for us. Security, like bringing security partners on board where solutions where people can start using the internet, cameras, things like that to secure their homes. Those are all things that's important to us. So we want to use that as a platform to add beneficial services and products to the consumer.
Yeah, let's talk about this strong business year ahead. What are the 2 or 3 key performance indicators you've set for Fibre Holdco? Is it kilometers of fiber, homes passed, connected customers, or something else?
Probably our 2 biggest indicators is homes passed and homes connected. You could probably also say customer satisfaction because that drives, the other one. We can't build if we don't connect homes. Everyone will every funder will just go, well, sorry, we're deploying, but you're not making money on them. And you can't sell customers if the customers aren't happy. People talk. Word of mouth will go around. So you have to make sure. So for us, you have to go pass homes. You have to grow. Otherwise, someone else is going to do it, and then you lose access to that opportunity. We have to connect, and we have to make sure the customer's happy.
Yeah. And also, access is one thing, but true inclusion means value. How do we ensure that once people are connected, they can use that connection for education, entrepreneurship, and opportunity? Is that part of Fibre Holdco's mandate? I know you mentioned education, security, but is that the next phase of growth you are looking at with Fibre Holdco?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. It's something like we think about a lot. Like, do we actually make a difference? When we put internet in, do people actually use it for entrepreneurship? Do they actually go, study? Or is it just doom scrolling and all that? I mean, we all are consumers of data. When we get access to uncapped data, we all, like to scroll a little bit or to... but the data shows, there was a study done last year. It shows a significant jump in accessing of educational platforms and things like that. So I think it's a natural thing that happens. It's definitely something that we want to push. Our whole slogan is be a hero also, which doesn't mean, go fight crime. It means you have access now to something. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to be your own hero, or are you just going to doom scroll type of thing? So we really do want connectivity to be used for the better, but it doesn't people must be entertained, and they must be able to switch off, and they must go stream and all that. It's that's also okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just also that you have access to something now. Make the most of it. And we love to tell stories of people that actually have. There's an artist in Kagiso, Khosi Kumalo, that advertised his art online, and because of it, he got invited by a gallery in Sweden to come there, to come exhibit his artwork there. That he didn't do before. He didn't do it before. He didn't publish his things online. He didn't have the access to it. So I love
stories like that.
Yeah, we like hearing those things also, and it gives us hope that it is actually making a difference.
Wonderful, man. And there's a CEO from Cape Town that I had spoken to, who was talking about rural retail is the next frontier for growth, economy-wise. In this space, one would think maybe also for you guys from Township, maybe also some influence in the rural space. How are you thinking? Along those lines, is there still a lot of room for growth in this space with the townships? Because I understand also in Cape Town, they were having some challenges in Langa and all these different spaces in terms of installing infrastructure.
Yeah, in Mitchell's Plain also. I'd love to know who you spoke to. Did you speak to too much Wi-Fi?
Who was this gentleman? His name will come back to me. That actually wasn't last year, the year before.
Tariq?
Sorry?
Tariq Brown? Was it Tariq Brown? Tariq. Anyway, it does matter. I think so. He is. So they do a wireless service, and that's why I'm thinking that probably would have been. It makes sense for him to say something like that.
Yeah.
So rural, truly rural areas is the part of the market that I'm most worried about.
Mm-hmm.
To be covered. So currently they only have access to mobile and often very poor mobile connectivity.
Yeah, because this is but this is what I was experiencing, and it's been quite a while now, where you would even have issues using your phone, internet. Yeah. I mean, I was down there in the Transkei, and you still have these issues. Yeah.
The reason for that is that even your mobile towers have fiber as a backbone. You know, as the long haul back to a big data center is all still connected to fiber. Mm-hmm. So in the rural, generally in the rural, like, you know, off to that's not part of a big town like Mthatha or East London or PE or generally the bigger towns have fiber because there's enough people to justify building to there. And then you get a cell phone tower, and they put a cell phone tower there because there's enough people to use it so they can sell data. The rural, as you start getting less and less and less and less people, it becomes less or not at all feasible to put fiber down. Mm-hmm. So now you can't get a mobile tower onto fiber because there's no fiber there. You can't go build fiber to the home there because there's no backhaul fiber there. So the only way to solve it really is to solve it with wireless, point-to-point wireless. So you would put a receiver, you would put a sender from a place that does have fiber, and then from there you send to the houses with little dishes. So that's what Too Much Wi-Fi does. They do wireless internet. So they put little. It looks like, I'm sure you know what wireless internet, but it looks like little DSTV dishes almost. Mm-hmm. They put on your roof, and they connect the signal. I think that perhaps is the only way currently to solve rural connectivity, unless the government steps in and says, okay, we know it's not feasible for capital to get a return here. We know if you deploy capital, you're not going to get your money back. So we will do it. We will do it as a service to the country because that's what government's supposed to do, right? Government's supposed to build infrastructure, give services to the people, all that. So if they decide to help building those links between the big centers, Mthatha, PE, to the rural areas, then you'll start finding companies building out from there to the homes, and you'll start getting fiber to the home there. But I'm not sure they're going to do that.
I think what Starlink infrastructure looks like, because they seem to be promising infrastructure in those remote areas.
So satellite operates in a very similar way to wireless. So satellite generally also would you'd think satellite, they're sending the signal from America to, across their satellites in the sky to South Africa. They don't. They have a base station in South Africa, also same data. They send a signal up, it bounces off the satellite down to you receiving here. So they actually operate very similar to a wireless player. So they are an option. The only problem with satellite is it's even Starlink. It's very expensive. You have to buy the dish for your home, and that's 12,000 Rand. I think it's maybe less now because of the interest rate, or not interest rate, the exchange rate of dollar to Rand is down. So maybe it's 11,000 Rand now, but it's expensive. And then per month, you're spending 1,500 for, your connection, which really in the rural, you need it to be very low. You need it to be 200 Rand type of thing for a home.
Yeah.
With everyone inside. So I don't know if satellite's going to solve it. I think wireless is in a better position to solve it.
All right. So Albert, you've navigated the SA business landscape from startup to scale up to now a major player. For other tech SMEs trying to grow in this space, what is the single most frustrating bottleneck you faced, and what's your blueprint for overcoming it?
So the growth, the structure of the business as you grow changes substantially, and that's something that you have to adapt to. it's your skill set as you go through the phases is not the skill set that you need. So you learn something and you get to a new phase where you need to know something else which you don't know yet. So that's quite frustrating, and that can hold a business back if you don't have the external input. So what we did is we used a company called Scale Up Company, and they helped us to structure the business. And we also hired in, so we hired expertise and talent in from other big companies where those people the individuals have picked up the skills and learned those things, and they were able to transfer it into our organization. So we hired from other big ISPs, big F&Os, MultiChoice, etc.
Yeah. What's your philosophy in building a team and also organization culture around you? How important is it? And what's your philosophy around that?
Yeah, so that's something that I think people forget about. It's one of those things that you don't take super seriously until it's too late.
And I'm asking because I was at a launch there. I think you were launching Sync and celebrating some milestones in your organization. And I recognize that you were pretty accessible to people, and your staff seems to like you a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if it's about liking. I think you must be honest with everyone, but yeah, it's the respect thing. So if you show people respect across all levels, I mean, the people that you employ them, you put them there to do a job, and if they need help, they need help, right? So they need to be able to access and course correct and get the help they need to be successful. So that's important, but yeah, the culture part is something that quickly goes wrong in an organization, especially if you get the wrong people in and you let that stay for too long. So if you get a sort of a bad apple in, and they're sort of quite toxic with a like a bit of a blaming culture, that quickly spreads. So if you pick up on those things where the people don't have a team spirit attitude, like you have a person that doesn't buy into that thing, that they sort of believe in themselves and they're the one that they can do this, that's problematic. You need to quickly eliminate. So if you have one of those, quickly get rid of it. And the quicker the better. To sort of support that culture and aligned values in your organization.
Yeah.
And I don't get it right all the time. We make mistakes. Also, we make mistakes when we leave it for too long because we're like, maybe we can help this, but maybe we can, change them or something. The quicker, the better.
Because I appreciate the point that you raised to say that it constantly you have to be learning. You don't just come in and you know it all. From the founder to now running a much bigger firm is a different skill set that you always have to be, so-called going with the time, evolving and empowering yourself that way. Because as a startup, sometimes you feel like, how is this growth going to come? Because I don't seem to have a certain skill set that's required for this next level, So it's interesting to learn that, even at that level you're operating, you constantly have to be educating and re-educating and empowering your skill set.
Yeah, you have to upskill constantly, yeah.
Yeah.
You physically don't have the skills yet, right? As you grow, the landscape changes and you just don't know how to operate that landscape. So if you don't learn the new skills and lessons or hire them in, there's no way you can do it.
And also in terms of vision, because me in my own business journey, I've seen also the vision also in a way constantly evolves as also you bring certain people into the space, into your team. It's not necessarily what you started out maybe thinking, be it capacity, be it the growth, be it where technology is gonna come and sort of take things to a whole other level. I mean, you talk AI these days and social media, so organizations constantly have to be also on the lookout for what is next. And I think that's the thrill of business, really. Growth, you cannot always see that much ahead. You are thinking growth, but you don't exactly have see it. What exactly will it look like? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the only constant in life is change, right? So it's always going to change. You've never arrived. A person's never arrived. You're never comfortable. You never. It's forever changing. Nothing is permanent. So you have to be constantly. If you're not comfortable with the change, you're not going to be comfortable with life, right? So you have to be constantly comfortable with adapting to something new. It's the ones that adapt the best that survive the best. It's evolution. It's an evolutionary thing.
Yeah, and so this venture PE space. I mean, you've gone through that. Is South Africa suffering from a lack of risk capital or a lack of the right kind of smart capital? What's your message to investors looking at our tech ecosystem?
So our capital pool isn't very big or very deep. Our capital pool is shallow. So you've got a very thin layer of private equity that's sort of spread across, and very, very nervous. Like you don't get to that. You only get to that through someone. Someone vouches for you or says like, this guy's okay, like that type of thing. Only once you've gone through there and you've passed that stage, are you allowed to access, the more cheap capital, like just regular debt, vanilla funding type of thing. So I would say maybe it's in line with our economy. Our economy is not massive, but there can be more. There definitely can be more. And you don't grow the economy by not investing in, in new things. But I think there's a lot. Generally, like the capital's flowed out of South Africa because there's been general distrust or like nervousness about the government. The moment you have this corruption thing, people don't want to put their money there because they're not sure all the money is actually going into a business or into whatever. They think there's leakage. And that's essentially what corruption is. It's leakage of the economy. So we do have to root that out. We have to root the corruption out in an economy to get the confidence levels back in, that people start investing back in. And there's some of it. Like there's been a general tide has started to turn back where people are investing more into South Africa, but it's still low. We do have a shortage of, our capital pool isn't very deep.
Yeah. Last two questions, Albert. Who gave you your big break or crucial advice? And now as a CEO in this position, how are you actively mentoring the next Alberts and Nicholas out there?
Sure, it's not one person, it's a number of people that you...
It takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah, and it's at different times of your life, someone goes like, okay, this is like, they buy into your vision and things, and then it's just trust. Like they've given you trust, you have to give them trust back, type of thing. So there's been a number of cases like that. The medical company that I worked for as a rep, it was one of them. The old man running the thing taught me many things about business. He didn't speak very much. He didn't tell me very much. I just sort of watched, The second was in the tech space. It was one of our suppliers. He put me in touch with the initial private equity funders. So, and he then also invested. So that was the first sort of jump into the private equity funding space. And then the next is now the next private equity, the Infinite Partners, sort of buying in. They're the sort of the next sort of step for us, for sure, like showing us, the confidence and the trust to grow. So there's been a number of them. How we show that back, so for us it's important, like I mentioned to you before, is we want to build up contractors as we go. For us, it's an easy solve because we are spending the money on building things. We spend a significant amount of money, millions and millions and millions of rands we spend on to contractors to build networks for us in different the different areas, regions. And it's an area that we know very well. We know the supply very well. We know the skills very well. We know the challenges very well. So what we try to do is we try to find a local company and to empower them and to teach them some of the skills required to go through that curve. And it's generally met with some frustrations because for them, they think it just happens, like, okay, you got a customer now, you're going to go, and it's going to be easy. But it takes a period of ramp up where their cash flow becomes stable enough where they're not under pressure constantly. So when they get under pressure, generally they go they look to you, and if you don't help them because it's not, and we operate within, bounds of, rules, we pay when a project is, when we get handed, areas, homes passed. We get invoiced, and it's a 30-day term. Like, this is how our funding works, and we then pass it on. And we try to relay those type of lessons across, and it generally takes us 3 to 6 months to get that contractor running smoothly, like up and running, where they understand our rules, we understand their challenges, we sort of show them through the administrative curve, the structuring challenges, all that. So it's important for us to do that, and I think we do it okay. In terms of individuals, that's harder. Like, it's harder to find someone that you want to personally invest your time in. There needs to be the willingness to learn, the ability to learn. So teachability is obviously important. So if someone asks you a question and then don't take it on board, a person's not teachable then. So you sort of look for someone that's willing to listen and learn, and that's hardworking and got the grit and all that. And then it's also something that you can pass on, but they have to take it. Like, I've worked for this old man in the medical industry. He didn't tell me, he didn't say, here's money, go do something. He just I went and I asked him, what do I do now? And he's like, this is what you do now. And then I would say, well, I need money for that. So he's like, yeah, you just have to ask. You just go ask someone for them, go ask the bank, So he supported me. He gave me the confidence to go do that, but he never did it for me, and he never gave me the money to do it. I had to go do all of this myself. But he was there behind me, telling me it's going to be okay. If something goes wrong, I can come to him, ask him for help, advice, whatever. And that's sort of important. So, yeah, that finding the mentee thing it's a personal type of thing that I think happens organically.
Yeah. Lastly, sir, if the success of Fibre Holdco is assured, what does that mean for South Africa's economy and its fight against unemployment in 5 years? Give us your optimistic vision.
So no one's success is assured, right? So we could, things could go very wrong in South Africa where interest rates shoot up and, that blows on our debt package. So it's the other thing, everything is temporary. Nothing is assured, ever. So it's just important to remember. But in the fibre space, I think in the next 5 years, so currently the the penetration rate of broadband into or fixed internet into South Africa is only currently at 26%. So 74% of the country still needs to be connected with broadband internet and is being connected. And I think in the next 5 years, if not sooner, that will be complete. So what that means is it means money going to local contractors. It means investment into local economies. It means availability of uncapped data to everyone. And then hopefully that translates into an economic growth where that access is used to start businesses, to learn, upskill, etc. I think that's the hope, right? That in 5 years it's made a difference.
Yeah. One advice that you got, just in one line, so to close it off.
Yeah. What advice? Sure.
Or a quote that you've read and you've sort of like lived by through the years in your business journey.
I think there's 4 words that keep you humble. It's this too shall pass. So if you're feeling bad, this too shall pass. If you're feeling good, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
So I think for me that's important. It's to remember everything is temporary.
No, sir. Thank you so much. You were so generous with your time. I really appreciate it, and we'll definitely keep in touch.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, and keep on grinding.
Yeah.